You can do it, Zoom. You can do it. All right, I think it's live. Okay, we're good. All right, so everybody can see me, right? And you can hear me. Oh, okay, because I hear you. I see you. Okay, good. Welcome back, everybody. This is day 3 of our Power Author Academy. And or I should say of our Power Author Live Challenge, all right, our Author Week Challenge. And I am super excited to kind of hear what's been coming up for you all over the last 2 days. The first day, right, was really about mindset. It was getting into the mode of what it is going to take for you to get this book done internally. What are some fears that you may have had coming into this project? What are some of your goals, your visions? What do you want to see happen as a result of this project, right? And then day 2, yesterday, was centered around your topic, right? The type of book that you want to write and what your book is going to be about. And we titled that The Makings of a Bestseller, because you cannot have a bestseller, you cannot have something that really resonates with people if you don't put the pieces into place that we talked about yesterday. Like really being in tune with what you're going to write about and making sure that that topic is then related to your ultimate vision and your ultimate goal. So let us get some some ahas, and I want to hear these if possible. So you should be able to raise your hand. I think that's a more effective way than the unmuting. But let's go ahead and do some little popcorns out of your ahas. Okay, so let's go. Start. Lena. And let's make these quick because I got a lot to cover today. So we're gonna say a minute, all right?
Super quick. I feel like I talk a lot, and I want to hear from everybody. But I actually, really quick, I mentioned taking this class to my mom after I talked to her yesterday. And like I had mentioned having like fear about being an author, and she actually reminded me of when I was in first grade in Crescent Academy, and I actually won they had like a book writing contest where like, like as a kid, how you like write a book and you like laminate it. And I actually read it in front of the whole school. Wow. And I think about doing that as an adult. And like, it's funny, I was like not afraid back then. I mean, I was, but like I did it back then. So I was kind of reminding myself, like I was already an author before I even so I'm kind of like trying to disconnect my adult insecurity and just kind of like go back to that child thing.
I love it. I love it for a lot of reasons. One is, yes, that innocence that we oftentimes lose when we're children can serve us in so many ways, as we're adults. But I also love it because it reminds me of what I call like seeding, right? That you're planting seeds. And God, oh, howling wind, whatever you want to say, I'm a spiritual person. I use the word God. Like God was planting seeds in all of us, all throughout all of our experiences that lead us to where we are right now. So for those of us sometimes who think I'm not an expert, or who am I to say something about this particular field, or why would I get to put out this subject? It is because those seeds were already planted within you. The idea comes to you because of something that has been implanted in you. It doesn't just come from osmosis. Every idea that we get, every inspirational thought that comes to us about, wow, that would be really something amazing to put out there, like that comes to you for a reason. Like there's a book by Elizabeth Gilbert, the one who wrote the Eat, Pray, Love, but it's called Big Magic. Anybody read this book, Big Magic? Okay. And so she talks about the idea of like ideas being things, like being tangible things. And so an idea is like wanting to be born. It wants to get out there into the world. And it comes to people until it gets to be born. So it will come to one person, and if that person sits on it, they don't do it, it'll go to somebody else. Like, have you ever had an idea of a product or a program or something, and you don't do it, and then later on you see somebody else doing it, and they're like running with it, right? And so you're like, dang, I had that idea, but you didn't do anything with it. So her philosophy is that the idea comes, and if you don't do anything with it, it will then go to someone else. And so I truly believe that each of us like have had seeds planted within us all along that are leading you to where you are right now. And that you and your project and your subjects and your topics and the ideas that you want to put out there into the world, like you are the angel for that thought. You are the conduit for that part of the evolution that our society is supposed to be on. So I don't want you to minimize any of the things that have led you to where you are right now. Like they all serve the purpose. They all serve the purpose. All right, so somebody else. Okay, so I see a hand. Get it, Martine. That's right. Oh, she was an A student. Let me see. So unmute. Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hi, everyone. This dream of mine of becoming a writer, children's writer, a writer of children's books, I should say, and especially from a female little girl Black perspective, because I have a daughter and that's where it all started from. I've always kept it to myself. I've squashed it. I really didn't verbalize it, didn't tell too many people about it. And since taking your masterclass, I feel empowered. I feel very hopeful. I feel like I can really do this. And yesterday, I spoke to a friend who is a well-known person. If I mentioned her name to you, you would know her. More than likely, you would know her. And even her, I never mentioned this to her, but yesterday we spoke out of the blue. We hadn't spoken for a while. And she asked me what was going on with me. And I told her what I've been doing. And I mentioned this class to her. And she is a published author herself. Her books have been on the New York Times bestseller list. And when I told her this, she was like, wow, I never knew that this was in you. And she was very supportive. She was encouraging. She told me to go for it. She told me to start writing it now. And she even gave me the name of an editor, publisher that I should get in touch with. And I was like, wow. And it just felt like confirmation that I should get my butt off the chair and really get going and to do this once and for all. So that was like my aha, like my confirmation, like, okay, God, you're telling me to just, this is the year. And I just felt really good about it. And now I'm determined more than ever.
I love that. I'm so proud of you for sharing. You know, a lot of people try to only share when every little detail is worked out, you know, when every little bit is all perfect, and they hold it inside until that time where they feel the stars all align and they can put it out there. But, you know, as we've been talking, it is important for you all to begin to share out, not only for your own sense of building up your confidence and getting comfortable with putting out your messages, because that's what the author is, right? You're a messenger. You're putting something out there into the world. And it also then is warming up your audience. It is signaling to them that you are doing something. Like your friend said, you know, I never even knew that you had that in you, right? And so now she is one of your cheerleaders. She is going to be one of your supporters for this project, just because you opened your mouth and you shared what you are going through. So you also brought something up that makes me think about one of the books I've been reading more recently again. It's called The Celestine Prophecy. It's by a guy named James Redfield. He wrote this first book, I think, when he was 43 years old. He wrote this first book, The Celestine Prophecy, and it is about like human evolution, you know, all the stuff that I like, right? Like human evolution, how society is moving forward, all of that. And he utilized that book and really grew an entire platform around it. Like that first book came out in 1993, and he has Celestine events. You know, he has another, it's like a series of books now. He has a Facebook group that is, you know, on and popping, very growing. And he literally like changed the trajectory of his entire life from that one book. But one of the things that it talks about in that book is paying attention to what we would call like a coincidence, right? And so these like meetings that happen. So you all, just happen to hear about this challenge that we're having here, and you took action, right? So it was a chance meeting and you took action. Now you were talking to your friend just by chance, haven't spoken to her in a long time. Like, why would you talk to her right now?
Exactly.
She's a published author. Like, why would it be right now? That's not a, coincidence. It was by divine design. And so the whole thing in that book is for us to like pay attention to these chance meetings and what they have to teach us. And so I want you all, as you are going through this process, some of the things that I'm telling you, even about the homework and things like that, when I was talking to you about it, like working within your subconscious so that you begin to pull opportunities and such to you, the more you do, like you will see things like what Martine is saying happening. Like you will see those things begin to happen. There will be more and more miracles surrounding you. And you'll be like, oh my God, like I didn't even expect this. The vision that we laid out for ourselves, that vision gets expanded by 10. Things that I'm doing now, I would have never, ever, ever even have thought to even think about having in my vision when I first did that first book. Like it wasn't even on my radar. Like the things that you're doing are assets, and they're creating, like I call them worker bees. Like your book becomes like a worker bee. You have a hive. The worker bees are the ones that go out, they bring back the water, they go out, they bring back the pollen, they bring back everything that the hive needs in order to survive, right? And when you create a book, it becomes like a worker bee for you. It becomes something that goes out and it brings opportunities back to you. You do the initial work once, right? That requires your time, it requires your energy, it requires your resources. And then when you continue to keep it moving, it works for you. It works for you. So I love that, Martine. Thank you so much for thinking about
Thank you.
that. All right, who else? Yes, Shannon.
Mine's short, and I've been thinking about my book for a long time, and people have recommended to put like the author in your email thing before something like you did on your first email. And yesterday I actually did it, and it was like such a like, oh, things are happening moment. So thank you.
Awesome. So what made you, let me tell everybody. So Shannon came in through one of my other like a mini program, if you will, but it's all about unwritten. So it's about how to utilize your unwritten book to begin to attract clients and such. And so I give people within that framework 7 small tips that they can do. They're very simple, very simple tips, but they are very powerful. And so Shannon signed up for that before. But Shannon, my question to you is, what made you wait and not do that step when you first got that email? What made you wait until now?
I think it comes down to something about like not wanting to be seen, or like unsure if it was going to actually happen. Mm-hmm. And now have that like, no, it's happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're doing it. But yeah, definitely.
The not wanting to be seen. Yeah. How many people can relate to that? That came up in the fears a lot. Yes. I see some people raising their hands. Estella, Jessica, that came up in the fears a lot, the not wanting to be seen. So, yeah, I'm going to tell you, I've had a couple of clients that I wanted to like shake them like, like just do what I say. like just do it. Like they would self-sabotage because they kept allowing that fear of not wanting to be seen to slow them down and almost like bring them to a complete halt. And for me, it's like so difficult for me to watch that happening when I know that if they just did the work, or if they just did what I said, like they would get the results that they wanted to get. So I'm telling you all that right now, because as you go through the process of becoming a published author, right, there are going to be times when you're apprehensive about putting something out. There are going to be times when someone may even say something negative to you. Like I told you before, what that happened to me, like that guy picking up my book, like, and kind of slamming it down, right? There are going to be times when those things happen, but those are not the times that are to stop you. Those are sharpening tools. They are sharpening tools to make you a better person, even not just even a better entrepreneur, but just a better person. They're sharpening your sense of self. So you're building up your inner author armor so that while you go out and spread your message, because your book is standing for something, right? No matter what it is that you're working on, your book is standing for something. Your book has a purpose. It is to either educate someone, right? Teach them a skill. It is to inspire someone. It is to help people think differently, you know, put a spotlight on a group and help to kind of bring that group to light. Like your book has a purpose, right? And so no matter what that is, it is important for us to realize that you're going to have to boss up. You're going to have to boss up, right? All right, let's take two more people. And while, oh, okay, I see two hands. Great. So, oh yeah, so I see two hands. Yep. So also yesterday, I wanted to tell you guys, when you want to put a question into the chat box, like Zoom it doesn't mark just the questions. So what I would love for you all to do is just put question, like in caps or such, and then type your question in. And then that way, when we're going through the questions, it'll be easier for me to find them and I won't, you know, miss out. And anything that I don't get to answer in our daily sessions, I'm going to answer in our celebration party final training. So I'm going to answer questions till I turn blue, right? In that day. So don't worry, I'm going to make sure that we answer all of your questions. So just put question and then we'll keep going. All right, so let's see here. So I have Monica, and then who's this? Zuberi. So I have Monica and then Zuberi. And then let me see, how can I get it all on one screen? Can I get that all on one so I don't have to go back and forth? Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna do Monica and then Zuberi. Okay, go ahead, Monica.
Hey, everybody. So a couple of things from yesterday. At the beginning, you said, you know, a book, it's really only 49 pages. So when you said that, that was a great reminder because like, okay, relax, you know, release. And then secondly, even as we're having this conversation, I recognize that I'm actually already an author, but I don't claim it. So I co-authored an article that was picked up by the American Psychological Association, and which is prestigious for some people, I suppose, but because I was working with a client who was a dissertation client, you know, just the whole, all of it around, I realized that I never really claimed that for myself. I could technically already be saying author. And I realized that too, as I was updating my Facebook page bio and stuff like that.
Yeah. So are you going to claim it now?
Hell yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I know what you mean because I used to have a hang up around the word author as well. Like, you know what? Let me tell you guys something, how this like self-sabotage happens, right? So, you know, I'm in publishing, right? But I'm not in the publishing where I have, I don't care about Moby Dick. I don't care about all the classics, you know, like I'm in publishing because as an anthropologist, I saw the power of books. I saw how books literally changed my life. I went from like a nobody to being flown to Dubai to speak and stuff, like all expense paid trips, like Bermuda. I mean, it changed my entire life. And so I was like, you know what? Like there's something to these books. There's some power to it. But I didn't call myself an author for a really long time. And even though I've published now like what, 40 something books, I still didn't even call myself a publisher for a long time either, because I had this type of like fear of, well, I'm not a real publisher, you know, like you have you have the big five in New York. I'm not one of them, so I'm not a real publisher. So if I don't claim publisher, then no one will try to check me on it, right? If I don't claim author, then no one was going to come and ask me about all of the classics that I don't care about, right? And so it wasn't until really, I would say, maybe the last couple of years or so, that I began to realize that those people that I thought were like so big and so great and blah, 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 like they were just regular old people just like me. And it happened because, you know, I invest a lot like in my education. I take a lot of courses. I take a lot of, you know, I do a lot of programming and masterminding and things like that. And so when I started getting more up and close, I was like, oh my God, like they're not smarter than me, like at all. Like their stuff isn't better than mine at all. Like literally my stuff is better than them, you know? And so it is not to like, you know what I mean? But you guys get what I'm saying, right? Like how we start to put our own selves down because we put somebody else up on this pedestal. And so, yeah, we got to start claiming it all, claim it all, and recognize that we too are the experts of our own experience in our life. So I'm writing a book about, you know, baking a cake or something. Like I made the bomb naan bread the other day. Like I love Indian bread. You know how everybody now is baking and stuff. So I made the bomb, you know, naan bread, Indian naan bread, right? And so if I want to put a book out about that, I could just say from my own experience, this is my best naan bread. I don't have to be an expert in baking. I don't have to bake everything else, but as long as I can help somebody make the naan bread that tastes good, then I'm an expert in that, right? So you are an expert in your own life, and claim all of the things that you have done, because best believe those other people that are not better than you, that are getting the clients, right, that are putting their stuff out more, they're not second guessing themselves about whether this is perfect or this. Like typically it's us who are sabotaging our own self. So claim it all and put your stuff out there and recognize that you deserve the accolades. You deserve it all. All right. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. Okay, so who was next? Yeah, Zuberi. So Zuberi. Okay, yes, ma'am. We can't hear you. You gotta turn your audio on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Good job.
Okay. A win for me was when I shared yesterday with my family and some friends that I finally decided that I was going to write this book. And they were so excited. They were saying things like, about time. You know, Zubair, you talked about this 10 years ago. We're going to work with you and getting this done because I think your ideal is good. And I think people will enjoy what you're writing about. And so that was a win for me.
Go family. That's awesome. I love that. I love that. How many people have had people in their family like, okay, like what you waiting on? You need to write a book. Yes, Tasha, yes. So I'm really excited about that. And those of you who don't have family yet that are kind of like supportive, because some people, when they hear some people that have a lot of support and they don't have a lot of support, some people use that as an excuse to say, oh, I can't do it. Like Zuberi, her family really wants her to do mine, but my family, they don't care a jack squat about my project, so I can't do it, you know? And we kind of get in that mode. You have a family right here. Like we are your family. And when you start to do things, you will create your own community. When you start to put yourself out there, when you start to connect with like-minded people, you will create your own family, your own people who see your best interest and want you to really win. They want you to win. So don't worry either way it goes. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all. So a couple of housekeeping things. We got a couple of emails from people who are saying like they can't find the homework and such like that. So it's going to be in the Facebook group in the units. So you can always go to the units, and there you will be able to get the homework. So that will be there in the units. If you have any problem filling in the Google form, you know, that sheet, then you can do it in the Facebook group. But we prefer for you to do it in the Google form, but only if you have some technical issue. You really shouldn't, but if you do. One other person asked, like, where's their prayer? Like they said they put a prayer into the Google form. They couldn't find their prayer or such. I think it emails you a copy of your responses. So I'm not 100% sure. So what I'm going to tell you is that make your own like notebook. Before you put it into the form, don't use that as the only like saving mechanism for what you are doing with your homework, okay? So make your own document and just put it in there so that you know that you have a copy of it. I don't want to be responsible for keeping a copy of everybody's individual things. Like everybody keep a copy of their own stuff. And that way you can kind of monitor your progress as we go along. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, so today is day 3. Tomorrow we'll be here at 4 o'clock again. The next day we'll be here at 4 o'clock again. So today's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're gonna have a break on day 6, and then day 7 is going to be our celebration party and the like the final kind of planning your book, pulling it all together, and the final training. So that's going to be on day 7. I may have some other surprises coming up. We'll see how it goes later on. All right, so good. I think that's all of the things that came in yesterday. Yes. Okay, you guys did a great job on the homework. I'm loving that you are taking action. We already see that miracles are happening now. Martina's already connected with this New York Times bestselling author just by her opening her mouth and being willing to put things out there. Stuff like this will begin to happen. The more you shed the fear, the more you shed the doubt, the more you stay in possibility and stay towards the light. Okay, so what's today's topic? Today's topic is your audience. Today's topic is your audience, right? So yesterday we talked about your topic and we talked about the type of book that you're going to write. A lot of you all are writing, I saw a lot of tip books actually, which is one of my favorite kinds, like tip books. Most of you are, a lot of you all are doing, a couple of people are doing anthologies, some memoirs as well. And so today we're going to talk about like your audience. That is, who are you writing for? Who are you writing for? Now, let me just say at the onset that one of the biggest mistakes you can have and say at this point is that I'm writing my book for everybody. Like this comes and happens so often when I get a new client that comes in and they tell me, you know what, Zarina, like everybody can benefit from my book. I'm writing my book for everybody. And I have to tell them that this world is over 7 billion people. It's impossible for your book to resonate with every single human being on the planet. So why don't we just narrow that down a little bit, you know, keep it a little bit more focused or a lot more focused, as we'll soon see. And that indeed will actually help you make a broader reach. So the smaller you can get your niche, the bigger your reach will actually be. I know that it seems counterintuitive. I know that it seems kind of backwards. Like, well, wouldn't I just put it out there for everybody and let everybody, you know, get it? But when you're thinking about your messaging and the words that you use and the content and the examples that you put into your book, you want those to resonate with a particular group of people. Or else people just walk past it and it doesn't resonate with anybody. So if you go for everybody, you end up with nobody, right? So your niche can make you rich, all right? So focus on a small group of people. Now, when we're talking about your audience and we're talking about your ideal reader, the first, one of the things that I want you to concentrate on is that, again, we are creating lives in general that we love. We're creating lives that we want to live. And so because we get to design this project and we get to really put some intention into who we want to attract, who we want to work with, you can pick a group of people that you actually want to work with, right? Remember earlier we were talking about like that vision. Who do you see yourself speaking in front of? Who do you see purchasing your book? I want you to be able to think that and realize that you can pick people that you actually want. So we avoid headache money, and especially those of you who are in business. Like Monica knows because she helped me maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I don't remember. But I kept running into this problem where I was dealing with people that paid me money, but I was like, I don't really want your money. Like, I don't want it because it was such a headache. Like they were not bad people. They were not bad people, but they grated on my existence. They grated on my soul. And it almost made me like resent my work. Really, it made me want to like throw my whole business away. It was that bad. And it wasn't an actual problem with the business though. It took me a little while to figure this out. It wasn't a problem with the business. It wasn't a problem with what I was doing, but it was a problem that I just like accepted everybody that came to me. I didn't really have any filter. Like, oh, you want to write a book? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll help you. Like, I didn't have any real filter. And so I attracted some people who didn't really resonate with the way I do life. They didn't really resonate with like the way I value my time or any of those things. And so that wasn't their fault. That was my own fault, right? That was my own fault. So your book needs to be written like in relationship to the type of people that you want to relate to, right? That you want to relate to. So let me pull my stuff down. Okay. So when we're thinking about like your ideal reader, right? I call this like your spirit audience in general. But for today, I want you to focus on one person, like your ideal reader. This is going to be painful for some of you all because a lot of people resent the notion of trying to focus on one person because it's like, well, what about this person? And they can use it, and they can use it, and they can use it. We're not worried about that. As I said, when you focus, your book will have a bigger reach. So you will reach other people. But in the beginning, I want you to think about your ideal reader avatar. Okay. I want you to think about who do you see yourself engaging with your book? Who do you see picking up your book and reading it? Who do you see coming to your workshop if you plan to have a workshop, or engaging in your dialogue, or being a part of your Facebook group, or being a part of your membership or your course? You know, who do you see doing that? Okay. And when you think about this, don't just think about like demographics, like, oh, I see people who live in the United States. Like, how many people live here? 300 and something million people. You know, so that's a lot of people, right? That's a lot of people. You don't need 300 million people in order for your book to be a success. You don't need 100 million people, right? You don't need 50 million people. You don't even need a million people. Like, there's a whole concept around this 1,000 my true fans, right? 1,000 true fans. You can have a thriving movement, a thriving subculture, a thriving business with less than 1,000 people. And even that sounds like a lot, but I've had other clients who have like made 6 figures from some of their work with selling less than 250 books. So you don't need an entire army of people in order for your book to be a success, okay? You don't. So get that out of your head, and then let's focus in on the niche. So when you're thinking about your avatar, like your ideal reader, right? You're thinking about your avatar, your ideal reader. I want you to think about like I would say the psychographics, right? My kids are here, you guys, so hopefully they don't come in, but the psychographics. So what I mean by that is like What's going on in your reader's head? The more you can get in tune with what your reader thinks, remember we talked about like their headache, what problem they have. The more you can get in tune with what your reader is thinking, and even like so close, like so intimate to them that you know the words that they are saying to themselves, right? The things that they're saying to themselves, the more you can get in tune with that, the more your book is going to be able to resonate with them. So you want to think about, okay, what type of problems do my readers have? What type of books do my readers read? Does my reader read? How does my reader interact with their family? You know, how does my reader work or not work, right? Because some of you all may be going after a retired audience. What does my reader do in their spare time? How does my reader engage with the world? Who influences my reader, right? So these are all things that you want to be intimately knowledgeable about, so that when it's time to market, if you are clear on who your reader is, then you can find like the folks that influence that reader and then get your book in front of the largest concentration of your target audience, right? So your reader, the ideal reader, the avatar, represents a group of people, but I don't want you to think about a lot of people. I want you to think about one person, one person. And I know for some of you, as we've been doing this for a little while now, I know for some of you, you're going to resent this entire notion of focusing on one reader. I'm going to tell you to do it anyway. All right, like do it anyway. So for example, let me see. For example, okay, so this was a passion book. You know how I talked about legacy books yesterday? I would say this was a passion book for this particular client. So her name is Nisha Sultana. It's a pen name. It's not her real name. And she wrote this book about surviving domestic violence with her husband, but how like healing herself actually brought her closer to God. That's what her book is about, right? Okay, so when she talked about this, at first she said, it's for everyone, right? And so then we kind of narrowed down and she said, well, okay, it's for women. And then she went from women and she said, well, it's for women, Christian women, right? And she said, okay, then from Christian women. And then she said, well, it's for Christian women who have experienced domestic violence. And then, okay, well, Christian women who have experienced domestic violence. And then she said, okay, well, it's actually for like Christian women who have experienced domestic violence who are raising children, right? So can you see how we're getting more and more narrow, right? We're getting more and more narrow. And then, ooh, sorry, the kid came to the window. You can't be sneaking up on people like that. So, so it went from, you know, from everybody to Christian women who have experienced domestic violence, right? To Christian women who have experienced domestic violence and have children. And then it went to Christy, right? Who is Christy? Christy was a 45-year-old woman who had been married for about 17 years. In this relationship, she has children. You know, she was afraid to get out, doesn't really know what to do. You know, she doesn't want to leave because her children are dependent upon this man. And she feels that if she leaves, she won't have any type of, you know, income to support her family. So can you see now how we went from everybody to now to Christy? You guys getting it? Yes? Okay. So I want you all to also think about your ideal reader and exactly who that is. So I want you right now, we're going to do it for the next, it's really going to take you about 10 minutes or so. So you're going to have 10 minutes and I want you to write down everything, and you can start at the big picture if you need to. So you can start at everyone and then keep going, narrow in, narrow in, narrow in, narrow in, narrow in, narrow in, until you really get to the person, right? The type of person, the one person. You can name them. You can give them an age. You can give them a career. You can give them a philosophy, right? Any and everything you can think about that one ideal type of person that your book is going to be for. Okay, I want you to write that down. Everybody clear? I see yeses. All right. Any questions? Then put question and then we'll catch it. All right, so you have 10 minutes to write down as much as you can about your ideal reader. Go. Uh-oh.
Let's begin.
We got about 4 minutes, so keep pulling, keep pulling. Zabira, you're not writing. You done your avatar, you better keep writing, girl. You got about a minute and a half. And so if you are finished, I'm going to add a couple of things for you. I want you to think about what influencers do they follow? What magazines, blogs do they read? What conferences do they attend? What are their social habits? Where do they shop? So add all of these types of things. What do they want? How do they feel? What keeps them up at night? What podcasts might they listen to? What blogs might they follow? All right, about 30 seconds. All right. Okay, we're good. So let's have a couple of people share out. Let's have Beverly, because Beverly sent me a lot of emails. Beverly, let's have you share out and tell us a little bit about your ideal reader, your spirit reader. Okay, I'm going to unmute you. Hold on. And then, okay, now try to talk.
Okay. Hi, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm really loving this process. This is so awesome.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. I was an instructor at WC3 for like 15 years. And in doing that, I had a chance to do a manual, and I never published it. So I'm really excited about meeting you because I think I got a lot of work for you. So
Okay.
I'm just excited about this whole thing. I think that's how come I haven't really been able to talk, because I'm so full. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, but my ideal reader in this particular book, because this book is, it's a lot of things. It's it's personal, but my ideal reader in this book would be a woman that I think I could just touch her. I think I could touch her in a way that when she reads this book, it's going to make her say and feel that she is looking for being a whole woman. And when I say being a whole woman, it's that she feels that she's searching. She's on a search right now, because it's almost like she's on planet Earth, but she literally has this scream inside of her that if she could, she would just put her head out in the universe and let out this scream because she's so full. And so I think that's the kind of person that I'm trying to reach. People, they have so much things that they're dealing with, but somewhere in their childhood, they have taken on so many things, and they're trying to find a way to release. They're trying to find a way to exhale. So I just want to be able to touch a woman's soul where she's at. And I think that's pretty much the kind of person that I want. I want to be able to touch people in that kind of way.
That's absolutely beautiful. So what I want you to do from this type of person is I want you to even focus in a little bit more even. And so I think for you, like the exercise of like naming this woman, okay? Name her. Where does she live? What type of situation is she in as far as family situation? And also I want you to start to, this is for everyone, but think of like the inner dialogue that is running through that woman's head. So imagine her sleeping at night, like maybe she has insomnia because she can't sleep because of these things that are constantly like on her. Like, what is she saying to herself in those quiet moments of doubts, fear, whatever it is that that your client, your woman would have? Like, what is the inner dialogue that's running through her head? Like, what is she thinking, right? Because if we can get into the inner dialogue, the types of words that our reader actually will use, like when you ever picked up a book and it's like, oh my God, like they were writing this just for me. You really feel like this is my book, like they wrote this just for me. You get to that point, like when you are really in tune with the reader that you are writing for. And so I want you all to like really focus in on one, and you'll find that you'll reach many, but you're focusing in on one. So for you, again, like, more of who this person is, and then also like what is their like internal dialogue that is running in their own head. Now, the reason why we do it this way is that when we're talking about marketing, right? So like in our Power Author Academy, we have 5 steps. The first step is laying the foundation. The second step is write. Third step is edit. Fourth step is publish and, polish and publish. And then the 5th step is that we're launching, right? We're launching these books out into the world. And so when you're launching, right, we don't want to just launch out and just hope and pray that somebody picks it up. We want to be direct when we're launching. And so if I can use words like, are you is the thought of your life not being the way you want it to be keeping you up at night? I can use words that like they would say for themselves, but I turn it into questions that then attract them to me. You see what I'm saying? So this is why I want you all to be really in tune with the inner dialogue that's going on with your reader. And it doesn't matter whether it is like a self-help type of book or it doesn't matter what the book is. You can always get into the mind of your ideal reader And then when you know like the type of internal dialogue that's going on, you can turn that into questions. So when you're writing your websites, when you're writing the book description on the back of the book, right? You know, the back of the book is what's going to pull somebody in, right? So you write this in order to entice somebody. It's not a summary. We're not going to even go into that right now, but it's not a summary. You're writing this as an advertisement to entice the person to come in and want to read this book. And the only way you can advertise appropriately is if you know like what they want, what's going to attract them. All right, so let's have another person share out for their reader. Good job, Beverly.
Thank you.
You guys scared or what? Okay, Tasha. Hold on, you guys, 1 second. So my landscaping guy came right when we're here. Go get my wallet and I'll give it to you.
Where's the wallet?
Tell him I'm gonna give it to him later. And yeah, tell him I'm gonna give it to him later. Tell him I'm teaching the class and I'm gonna give it to him the next time.
You were teaching the class.
Yeah. Tell him I'll get him later. Yeah.
He said he would be left by now.
Oh, that's okay. All right. So, okay, Tasha. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I wanted to say that I can see how if you don't do or the complete assignment from the night before, how that can impact the next assignment, because I did it, but I didn't fully complete it, like choosing my topic, the one book. So it made it a little bit more difficult for me because I didn't complete that assignment. And I'm like, wow. But I did come up with what I think is my ideal reader, but I think that I could have gotten a little bit more in depth if I would have completed that, but I had a lot going on last night.
Yeah, no worries.
So what I have is an African-American middle-aged woman, politically involved, lives in the Metro Detroit area, a Christian who has children. That's what I've come up with thus far, who I think my topic would impact.
Mm-hmm. So then awesome, start, right? And so now the next step is to kind of use some of those questions that I gave to Ms. Beverly as well, right? Start to think about like what is going on in her head, what is the problem that she has, how does she view the problem, how does she say the problem, how does she articulate like what's going on with her, who are some of the influencers that are already influencing her life that she may be looking to, like whether their habits, what are their fears, all of those types of things will help you to round out so that, you know, when we come into like the actual content of the book, there are certain things that we include in every chapter, right? Like we always include a hook that's going to make them want to read to the next chapter. We always include some type of stories. These are for general nonfiction books. I'm not speaking to like the children's books right now, but like for general nonfiction books, like no matter what they are, like there are some things you always include in them, right? And so it's a lot easier to pull the right content that's going to resonate with your audience when you're very in tune with who your audience is. All right, so let's get one more person to, okay, yes, Darlene, Miss Darlene.
Right.
This is my cousin from California.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I pretty much can identify with the person I want to speak to because it's about my own personal experience of having breast cancer. And so what had happened to me is being told that I had cancer, just, you know, went for the exam, you have cancer. I wasn't asked if you're here by yourself, if you, you know, are you ready for this information or anything? Just, you know, you have cancer, you're going to need surgery. So not just that from that beginning all the way to the end, where 15 years later, I decided to get breast reconstruction. how it was done, where it was done, who it was done by. I just took it for granted. The person knew what they were doing, and this was the best option, et cetera, and so forth. So my person is a person that would suspect that they have cancer. Either they've been diagnosed with it already or are waiting to hear, or they've never had cancer and they know someone. They have limited knowledge about what to expect or types of questions to ask. Perhaps their family member has had cancer. When they go to the doctor, they're afraid to ask questions or don't know which questions to ask. They don't have a support system. I really didn't have a support system. I went through it with my 3-year-old my son, who ended up being the person that changed my bandage with me when he was 4. So, it's and then after having the reconstruction, it's really flubbed. It's just like I'm lopsided. I call myself unicorn, which gets me to the titles. It's like, you have cancer, unicorn, lopsided. What do you know? Just speaking to that person that when they hear the news or suspect that they have a breast cancer, or even I had lung cancer, which is another part of my testimony, but that they know, if you don't know what questions to ask, you won't ask them. If you have
So
a doctor,
is your book going to be a book of questions? What type of book are you writing?
It's really, I put memoir. So I have pictures from the beginning to the end. I really just want to start with a person that thinks they have cancer or suspects it or found out they have it, and just that journey. What types of questions you can ask? What types of doctors do you want to?
So let me give you like an idea. So you can take it or leave it, right? It's just an idea that's coming to me right now.
Oh, that's why I'm here.
An idea would be to frame this not necessarily just from your life perspective at the beginning, like as the front door, if you will, the thing that brings your reader in, but to frame this from the side of, sorry guys, my guy is here, but to frame this from the perspective of confusion and like, I don't know, right? So like 20 questions to ask your doctor if you think you have cancer, or 20 questions to ask immediately after your diagnosis or something like this, right?
Okay.
Because this then makes me, I don't really care about you. I don't know you. I don't really know your life. I don't really want to hear your story, at this point. I just need to know like what's going to happen for my loved one or my life, right? And so if I see something that resonates with the problems that I'm dealing with right now, is that like, this dude just told me I got cancer. I don't know what the heck, like, so whatever the problems are, like, you have to work that out for your ideal reader. But framing it in the answer to what their problem is going to bring more people in. And then once they're in, you can always, within the book, you can tell your story. You can share your experience, right? So it's not that you can't share that, but like the front door, like the reef on the front door is what's going to attract them in. And that's going to be the answer to their problem that they're having at that moment. So this is one of the ways that people we don't have big followings like Michelle Obama becoming. She can put out whatever she wants, and it's just like, oh, Michelle Obama, I want to know about her life, right? We don't have that right out front. And so we have to do things like that are like the front door. This is going to come in titles and all of that such. But like, we're doing something that's going to make it relevant to our ideal reader. So for you, really, your ideal reader would be like you, like as you were back then. And these are questions that you know now that you didn't know at the beginning, right? So you have the benefit of like being what your ideal reader. So it's just a suggestion for you to kind of consider framing it from your reader's problem perspective, right? Versus just your life perspective. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. That's a great suggestion. Also, I do, I can see it growing to where I would be able to speak to groups. I don't like talking in front of groups, but I do cancer comedy. And yeah, just I can see now expanding it and being able to have that knowledge, like you said, the 20 questions and answers, and I like that. I like that. See, now I can start writing. No,
No, you cannot. None
yes,
of
I
you. You cannot. Then you don't want to. Like, you don't write until we finish the plan. Like, or
exactly.
you'll
Hence,
be
that's
finished.
why I'm here.
Yeah. But when you said the comedy, like, that's a unique angle, right? That's a very unique angle, cancer comedy. I have a fat guy who said he wants to write a book. And I'm not saying it being like that. I got some pounds to lose too, but he said it like this. He said that his life as a fat guy was like, he's like, there's stuff, he's like, Zarina, there's stuff about being fat that like people just don't know, like how we have to live, how we have to maneuver. He was like, it's almost like a disability, but you guys don't see it, right? And so he wants to write a book about that. And he wants to do it from a comedic type of standpoint. And so you, like, with the comedy, you know, that's an angle that is not really out there right now. So you might want to think about how that could be. It's a unique angle. Yeah, it's a unique front door, right? It's a unique hook that would bring some people in. Okay, good job, Darlene. Okay, let's take one more person, and then we're gonna go into the homework. No.
Me?
Okay, Miss Estella, yes.
Okay, so my ideal listener or reader is a married Muslim woman in her late 30s, seeing her 40s approaching quickly. She's married and she hasn't had sex for months. Well, maybe not really. She's had sex with her husband so that he could get pleased, but she hasn't had a full-blown orgasm in months. So she's asking herself if she's just getting to that over the hill age, or is there something wrong with her?
Mm-hmm. I like it because I can hear all kind of stuff that she's saying, right? Like, I had to get me a new vibrator. That's probably what she's saying. So I like it because you can have that internal thoughts, right? And so that's going to make it a lot easier for you when you actually are starting to come in. So is this a client? Is this an avatar that you're working with right now?
Not to that level. This is like, I've been working with women to help them like heal from past trauma and really get to that place of internal confidence. And you know, when they're married, we always get to the marriage part, sexuality part, but I've never really addressed it until like, this book was like on the back burner. And it always kind of like intermingled with the work that I did, but now it's like really like in my face, like you've got to get this out there because there's a lot of women that need this. So I'm starting to weave it in from the place of how to understand the male mind so that as women, we don't, so, you know, as a female, like you don't like take on baggage that isn't yours because men are so different from us, right? It's more about communication, but this is more like about the actual indoctrination that we get from a very young age of what sex is, what sexuality is, what is it supposed to look like for, you know, a good girl. And are you not a good girl if you think about sex, you know?
Is this exploratory? Is this like a subject that you're going to be doing research and kind of explaining it from that perspective, or is it results focused? Like you're hoping to help them
It's kind of both. I have actually, since yesterday, I really saw it as like creating it in a way that it's educational so that it can also be used like in sex ed classes in junior high when you start talking about, you know, the hormones and everything changing in the body.
Okay. All right, got it. Okay. So I want to say one thing, but I'm trying to figure out how to frame it because, like, okay, so what you're saying right now, the last thing that you said is that it could be used like in a sex ed class, like in junior high or such, right? So now, if I'm writing a sex ed book for that particular audience, like for a junior high audience, it's going to be a very different book than if I'm writing it for a woman that's almost 40, right? Like those,
Right,
like the
right.
examples that you use, the language and stuff that you use is going to be very, very, very different.
Yes, but the concept and the idea is like, that's where the, how do I want to say it? Like, that's where
it starts.
That's where it starts. So understanding, what does it mean when I've got these feelings in my body, right? So how can, the language would definitely be different, but the feeling is still the same. So
I'm hearing 2 books. So just, I mean, this is what I'm hearing. Yeah, I'm hearing 2 books. Like if this is the topic, right? And then you can have one that is geared towards that particular age group, so that the language and the stuff can be appropriate, for that group, maybe even shorter or something. And then for junior high, especially, like if it was college, I would say maybe, but then the woman that you're writing for, like that initial avatar, the 30 something or whatever, like late 30s approaching 40, like that woman, write this one for that, and then you can have another version of it for when you want to do workshops and such. Now, let me say this. It does not mean that this is just my, this is what I would suggest. So everything I'm suggesting to you is things that came from, my experience and research and things of that, like you have the ability to take it or leave it, right? It's always your individual choice. But what I wanted to say was that, even within that avatar of writing towards that woman, it doesn't mean that a junior high or high school student or high school teacher may not resonate with that and they really want to come in and pull parts of it out and teach it to their class, right? It doesn't exclude it from that. But what I'm saying is that, focusing in on a particular group and the language that's going to really resonate with that group is going to help it spread out faster.
Okay, thank you so much. That's very helpful.
Awesome. Oh, look at Monica teaches middle school health now. Awesome. Okay, so let's take one more person and then we're going to turn into home. Yes, Nori. Yep.
Yeah, I had, I came in late, but at first I started, writing about like a character who was a young male coming from the Middle East, going to Iraq, then Greece, then coming to America to disappear amongst the Orthodox Greek community, only to find an African-American Muslim who in turn, he just turned his whole life upside down as to, basically kill off himself from growing up in a household with of the only boy in a house full of women. So when I finished writing that down, what's her name? Estella, she started talking about her topic about, sex with Muslims, and I thought about a topic, something called like In Bloom, because at present I'm in Kuwait and I'm seeing all kinds of things that happen, with these people here as far as their sexuality, things that are quote unquote taboo, things that are going on, and there's really no place for them to, speak about it, get help about it, or do anything, so her what she was talking about triggered like something actually, to make a solution. So I started writing about that, what is sex for a good girl? The woman, girls here, everything is taboo, but they have lots of secrets that they do, so then the hidden woman, people who cover, they're actually undercover doing stuff under their cover, that's a character right there, and then the free man in violation of the law, that was another title. So, men look like
what type of book are you writing again?
I'm writing all kinds of things over here. I don't know how to do it myself. I'm drawing, I'm writing poetry, okay? But now as I hear you all speak it, I was like, okay, these are titles. And then yesterday I was like, okay, anthology. So let me just find some people, you know, link them together so I can, you know, start writing like a little synopsis of these personas, you know, then eventually, you know, I can compile them, you know, some kind of way as, you know, some books for different groups, different populations, you know, of people. Because I know, like now, what I'm finding is that, you know, lots of men that are out there, you know, in America, African American, for example, and the women are just, they're far off, you know. It's like the man can't be head of his house anymore, you know. I'm in groups for polygamy, you know, just so many things are going on out there, you know.
So what I'm gonna say to you, Nori, like, have you been doing all the homework? Did you do all the assignments? Yeah.
No, because I keep asking where is it? I keep seeing on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're in the units. Ali, if you can make sure that Nori gets them, we'll try to tag you. What's your name in the Facebook group?
Oh, Helena Sessions or Helena James. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll make sure we tag you. But in the unit, so you can click the units and it should be there, like unit 1, unit 2, there. So we need to get more clarity here. And I think you're going to get more clarity if you go through these assignments and really dig deep into the homework. Because if we talk about like the young men, then we got the women in Kuwait, and then we got the African-American men over here. Like we got all these different groups, right? And so one of the things that I used to do with some of my clients, like when we had like a lot of different topics, we would imagine that we were going head to head in the ring, like boxing, right? And so you got 2 topics coming up, bam, bam. Like, which one are you rooting for? Which one do you want to win? And then, like, let's say we have a list of 10 topics, right? And then we do this with titles and other stuff too. But we have a list of 10 topics. We kind of put 2 in the ring, and then we see like which one we want to win. And then we take the winner from that and then pit them up against the next one that's in the line. Put them in the ring. Okay, what do we see? You know, blah, 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 blah. And then like which one's going to win? And then take the winner from that and pit it up against the next one. And so it's just another way to be able to help us kind of go through the different possibilities and such. Yeah. Because one thing that is a killer is almost having like too many possibilities, like too much, you know, too much. I'm a multi-passionate person. Like I'm one of the people that I got 1,000,001 ideas, right? If I try to put all my 1,000,001 ideas out at once, then none of them go through.
Yeah.
None of them, right?
Yeah. But I know that, but like at present, like here in Kuwait, we're on full lockdown. So I'm sitting here by myself, you know, trying to keep on schedule. I'm 8 hours ahead.
Yeah.
Of you all. And, you know, I'm up all night trying to keep in touch with America to keep my sanity, so to speak. Because
I hear you. It's tough times. You know, this is a different time. But I'm gonna say over here too, like we're team no excuses. So what that means is that, you got all that stuff going on. So we're gonna have to figure out, like within this realm, like what are you gonna do to get what you need to get done? So if you're finding, let me finish what I said. So if you're finding like some things are coming up and they're distracting you, then make note of them and delete those. And I'm saying this to everybody, not just Nori, right? This is whenever we do hot seats, is not just for that one individual person. If you listen, you're going to find something for all of us, right? So whenever something is coming up that's causing a problem, I want you all to stop and think about what it is and then what adjustments you can make in order to fix that particular issue. Now, what we don't want to do is stay in a space of like of spinning like a spiral going down. Like I got this, because that will start to overwhelm us, and then it doesn't allow our subconscious to work for us. Like in this space, we want our subconscious to start to do work for us, to make it easier for us. And the only way we can do that is if we begin to consciously like redirect it back to goodness, you know, back to good ways and such. So for you, that may be something that's going to help you start to narrow this down and be able to pick something. And right now, honestly, we're day 3. So, you know, I don't expect that you're gonna have, you know, everything all worked out right at this moment. So don't take it that I'm beating up on you at all. I'm just saying, like, these are things that you're going to need while you continue to go through the process. All right.
But
So
can I say something?
yeah, this would be your last comment. We got like 4 minutes and I gotta wrap it up. So yes.
But what
ma'am.
I did find is I said if I put something that can complete. So what I did was you know, since we're reading Quran every day, I started just sitting by myself in front of Zoom and reading that part for today, like as if I'm the storyteller. So yesterday when I heard the guy that was in here, he said, I'm doing something for kids. Okay, today I realized, I said, hey, this is an audio book. Let me just read this, and by the time I finish, then I've done something. So the other things now, what you're telling me to do, I'm doing that step by step. They don't have the written thing, but by the time every day, I have my chapter, so to speak. You know. So
yeah. Dictation is a great way to get the stuff out of your head and down, you know, onto paper. Absolutely. So good job. We'll talk about that when we get to writing. Okay, so hey,
I have a question super quick
Who's
about
that? Who is that? I knew it was Lena. How did I know it was you, Lena? Hold on, Lena. Put your question into the chat box. Type it in real quick. So, Eddie, let's see, Jaretta, Rashid, have I not spoken to at all? Like Mary Elaine. So you all, Basila, I definitely want Clara. I definitely want to hear from you all. Nyla, I talked to you yesterday, but Nyla, I definitely want to hear from you all tomorrow as well. So I'm going to come to your question, Lena, in just 1 second. So there are a couple of things that came through the chat, like privately or such. And so what we're going to do is, if any of you all feel like you need more one-on-one support, I'm going to talk to you later about like our programs and about how we bring books together. So you'll hear about that a little bit later. But some of you all wanted some one-on-one right now. And I know I can't answer all the questions during these, 90-minute sessions. So what we've done is we have a special opportunity for those of you who want to get your questions answered. You can go, it's a starter session. It's like an hour of my time where I'm going to give to you an hour of my time for a greatly discounted rate of $99 that you will be able to work and massage like your material. Now, others of you have asked about like all these questions. Arena's throwing all these questions at us. Where is all this stuff coming from? It's coming from my book. So if you all are paying attention to the nuances, what this challenge is like coming from my book, right? So I wrote this book. I'm doing this challenge, which the content is coming from my book, and my academy and everything that I do with my client is all based on the same system. Are you all seeing like how the entire publishing business that I run is based on the same system? So for those of you who are going to be doing like systematized how to process type of books, you see how it can like, you can have multiple things all based on the same thing. So we'll send you all the link to get this book. Right now, we're not doing the print version, we're doing the ebook version. So we'll give you that link as well for those of you who want to pick up that book. All right, so I'm going to, so Lena's question was, is there a dictation app that listens and records it? Yes, we'll come to that when we talk about writing and such, but really quickly right now, your phone will do it. You can just go onto there and press voice recorder for Android and it will dictate. Inside of Microsoft Word, there's dictation. Now also inside of Google Docs, there is a speech to text dictation as well. So there are a plethora. These are all the free ones. There are paid ones like Dragon, like that Dragon is a paid version. And it's a little bit stronger than the free versions, but the free versions are working very well for us as well. So there are different options that you have there. Apple dictation as well, Ali is telling me. All right, so tomorrow is day 4, right? Tomorrow is day 4. And we're going to be talking about your takeaway message, like the so what of it all, like what's the big picture of your book. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how that is used to design your book for a success. All right. So that's going to be tomorrow. The next day is going to be planning your book, like the plan of your book, part 1. And then we're going to skip a day, give you time to rest, catch up. And then the next day, we're going to have our final party, our celebration, our giving of gifts, and also our final training. So that's the overview for the rest of the week. All right, I've kept you 1 extra minute. So love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace. Bye-bye. Isa wanted to say bye.
Thank you. Nice. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan.
Here come the mini me.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We have to wait